It's 1:47 in the morning. You've been working on it for 3 hours. The thing you actually care about. The side project, the book, the application, the thing that might one day get you out. And what you've actually done is this. Opened the document, stared at it, opened Instagram, closed it, opened the document again, typed 2 sentences, deleted one, deleted the other, gotten up for water, sat back down, and now you're typing, "Why can't I focus when I want to?" into YouTube. You're hoping the answer is something clinical, something with a name. Because at least a name is a reason. I want to tell you what I think is actually happening. It's not what the productivity people will tell you. And it's going to sound strange at first. But stay with me, because by the end of this, the thing you've been calling lack of discipline is going to have a completely different name. Here's the part nobody says out loud. The people who focus deeply, the ones who sit down at 2 p.m., look up, and it's 9 p.m. and dark outside and they didn't move and they weren't tired. Those people are not more disciplined than you. They are not more motivated than you. They are not even, in most cases, smarter than you. There's only one thing they can do that you can't. They can stop watching themselves. In 1990, a psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi published a book called Flow. He'd spent years beeping people at random times of day, asking them what they were doing and how they felt. What he found, you've probably heard, people are happiest not on vacation, not while resting, but while completely absorbed in something difficult. He called it flow. But there's a second finding from his research almost nobody talks about. He noticed some people slipped into flow easily, across many different activities. He called them autotelic. And the strongest predictor of an autotelic personality wasn't intelligence. It wasn't even passion for the task. It was low self-centeredness, not low self-worth. The ability to forget you exist for a while. To stop being the audience for your own life. Now hold that thought, because the neuroscience says something almost identical. Your brain has 2 networks that matter here. One is the focus network, the part that runs the task. The other is the self network, the part that thinks about you. Am I doing this right? How do I look? What's wrong with me? Did I send that email? Why did she say it like that? In people who are genuinely in the zone, those 2 networks go silent against each other. The self network shuts up. The focus network runs clean. In people who are trying to focus and failing, the 2 networks are still talking. Still locked on each other. The self network is watching the focus network try to work. Read that again. The self network is watching the focus network try to work. That is what is happening to you at 1:47 a.m. You are not undisciplined. You are being watched. You sit down to write and there is a voice in the room with you that says, "Is this any good?" You type a sentence and the voice says, "That's a stupid sentence." You delete it and the voice says, "See, you can't even finish a paragraph. What made you think you could finish a whole project?" You open Instagram because Instagram is the only place that voice gets quieter. Because at least there, you're consuming somebody else's life instead of failing at your own. And here's the part that hurts. The voice didn't show up because you decided to do hard work tonight. The voice has been there for years, decades maybe. It started early. Some of you know exactly when. Maybe you were 9. Maybe you brought home a drawing and your mother looked at it for 2 seconds before pointing at the part you'd done wrong. Maybe you remember her finger on the page more than you remember the drawing. That's where it started. Not with a trauma. With a finger on a page. You learned at 6 or 7 or 8 that the safest version of you was the one that watched yourself first, before anyone else could. That self-monitoring saved you once. It is now the exact thing standing between you and the work you love. Okay, stay with me. One more piece, and then it all clicks. A researcher named Sophie Leroy published a study in 2009 on something she called attention residue. She found that when you switch from one task to another, even for 30 seconds, even for a quick check of a message, part of your attention stays stuck on the first task. The cost isn't the 30 seconds. The cost is the next 20 minutes of contaminated thinking. But here's what almost no one notices about her work. She also found the residue is worst when the previous task was unfinished or emotionally charged. When you were rushing, when you were anxious about it. So think about what's happening in your head right now. You sit down to write, but you're also unfinished about the email you didn't send. You're unfinished about the way your friend paused before answering yesterday. You're unfinished about the version of yourself you were supposed to be by 28. You're unfinished about whether you're the kind of person who builds things or the kind of person who just talks about building things. You don't have one tab open, you have 100, and every one of them is leaking residue onto the doc you're trying to write in. This is not an attention problem. This is the cost of carrying yourself everywhere you go. There's also this. K. Anders Ericsson spent decades studying violinists, chess masters, athletes. Even the world-class ones cap at 4 to 5 hours of deliberate practice a day. Single sessions, 90 minutes. Beginner, 15, 20 minutes, 4 hours, not 14, not 10. 4. The all-day, sunrise to midnight productivity story you've been comparing yourself to. It isn't real. The people you think are doing it are mostly performing work, not doing it. They're in the chair, sure, but half of them is checking Slack. The other half is rehearsing what they'll say in the 3 p.m. You have been beating yourself up for not being able to do something nobody can do. So let's name the thing. What you've been calling lack of discipline is actually self-surveillance. You're not failing to focus. You're being watched by yourself. What you're missing isn't more willpower, it's the ability to disappear into something. To stop being the watcher. To let the work happen without you supervising every keystroke for evidence of your own inadequacy. I'd call this the quiet. The brief, rare state where the inner narrator stops narrating, and there's just you and the thing in front of you, and for 90 minutes you forget you have a name. The quiet is what productive people are actually protecting when they protect their mornings or their inbox or their phone. They're not protecting time. They're protecting the conditions under which the watcher will agree to leave the room. Here's what changes when you understand this. You stop trying to focus harder. Focusing harder makes the watcher louder. Am I focused yet? Why am I not focused yet? Other people are focused right now. What's wrong with me? That's the watcher, dressed up as effort. You start trying to take up less room in your own head, to make the task bigger than you, a real deadline, a specific, narrow problem, headphones, a door that closes, anything that gives the work enough gravity to pull your attention off yourself for a while. And you stop treating your bad nights as character failures. The reason you couldn't write tonight is not that you don't want it badly enough. You wanted it so badly the watcher woke up and refused to let you near it. So the part of you that has spent a lifetime protecting you from being seen failing, that part stepped in and made you scroll instead. That's not laziness. That's a very old part of you, doing the job it was built to do. It's almost 2 a.m. where you are. Close the doc. Don't punish yourself for tonight. Tomorrow, when you sit down again, you're not trying to be more disciplined. You're trying to be less observed, even by yourself, especially by yourself. The rarest focus isn't found in people who try the hardest. It's found in people who, for 90 minutes, forget they have a name. That's what you're actually after, not productivity. A break from yourself. I don't want to hear which part landed. I want to know what your watcher says to you the second you open the document. The exact sentence, word for word. Sometimes seeing it written down is the first time it gets quieter.